Donald Trump and Pam Bondi and Kash Patel and Dan Bongino weren't just protecting a notorious sexual predator by refusing to release the Epstein files. They were also evidently literally breaking the law. See, federal law required the majority of the documents that the DOJ had on Jeffrey Epstein to be released by the 19th of December, which by my count was almost a month ago. And obviously that didn't happen, but like how much did they miss? Are we nickel and diming them over like 20 pages or something? No, see, they've released 12,000 documents, about 125,000 pages, which sounds like a lot. But do you know what percent of the total pages that they have on Epstein that is? That is less than 1%. They've released significantly less than 1% of all the documents, despite having a long period in the run up to December 19th, and now having almost a month after that. And so here is what Pam Bondi wrote in a letter co-signed by Todd Blanche. This is Donald Trump personal lawyer A and Donald Trump personal lawyer B. This is what they had to say about it. There are more than 2 million documents potentially responsive to the act requiring their disclosure that are in various phases of review. This work has continued and will continue to require substantial department resources. She said that about 400 Justice Department lawyers were supporting efforts to comply, along with 100 FBI document analysts trained in handling sensitive material. And I have no doubt that they're well trained to identify and black out any reference to Donald Trump. And that is a full-time job. It requires hundreds of trained professionals to take Donald Trump's name mostly out of the Epstein files. That said, the law is not a suggestion, it's a goddamn law, and you are very much in violation of it. And so the issue for us is that who's gonna force them to comply? Chuck Schumer, he put out a strong tweet saying, it's been 17 days since the Trump DOJ first broke the law and failed to release all the Epstein files. It's been 14 days since Trump's DOJ released anything at all, with the DOJ doing everything in its power to delay and obfuscate, which is true, but now you need to actually do something about it. And unfortunately, we're at a point where the leader of the Democrats in the Senate won't go as far as some Republican congressman, as you'll see in this.
Typically, like with contempt, you might refer that to the DOJ, and then the DOJ never prosecutes itself. And then the problem goes away at the end of the Congress because it's contempt because they're not in compliance with the congressional subpoena, which expires at the end of Congress. This law does not expire at the end of Congress, and so they've got a real problem. The contempt that the Congress refers, they could be in jeopardy of that even after this Congress expires.
Yeah, perhaps, after we get Democratic control of the House, maybe in 2028, we get the Senate. I fear that a future Democratic president might want to look forward rather than backwards, but they are blatantly violating the law right now. And they are doing it for the worst possible motive, to cover up elite pedophilia. Something needs to be done. People need to go to jail. And if that means Pam Bondi, if that means Kash Patel, if that means Dan Bongino, they had months and months and months to do their goddamn jobs, and they chose instead to protect elite networks of sex predators. What do you think, Sharon?
They're horrible people. Todd Blanche too. All of them should go to jail. And I am worried that when we finally dig ourselves out of this democracy, anti-democracy mess, that we will have another Democrat who doesn't want to deal with it, who wants to look forward, who wants to Merrick Garland it. And by the way, I don't believe for a second. I want mainstream media to stop talking about the 400 lawyers poring over the documents, full-time job, the resource. She's talking about resources and all of this manpower strategically, so that you'll get sick of it. We're fleeced as taxpayers. Oh, well, this is all they're doing. And then there'll be a terrorist attack, and we couldn't concentrate on that because of the Epstein Act. It's nothing this woman says is true. Or Blanche, like they must be huddled up. They go in some kind of elevator or something, and they get their little stories together, and then they put out things, they cover each other's backs, and it's just gross. They're covering for pedophiles and disgustingness, you're right.
Exactly. Yeah, and so I'm glad that some people take this seriously. Thomas Massie take it seriously. Like he's Like sometimes I need to remind myself that we only really talk about him about like mostly this issue. And part of that is because this does seem to be the thing that he's focused the most on. I did randomly just Google Thomas Massie in the trans community, and I was reminded, oh yeah, no, he is still one of them. So, avoid that if you want to continue to like Thomas Massie. They're still all weirdos. But anyway, he is at least good on this topic.